All right, hello. Welcome everyone to Herding Squirrels, a podcast about modern teams. Joining us today is John Fly. John is a proven executive technology leader with 25 plus years of experience specializing in strategic vision, leading transformations, and driving business outcomes. John is currently the CTO of FirmPilot and is joining us from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. John, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Super excited to have you joining us. I know you have your Legos out and they're on the table.
Yes.
Question for you before we jump in. Do you have any favorite Lego builds that you've done recently or you've done over the past handful of years?
Not recently, but my son, who's now 22 and grown and married, we did Legos. So he got into the Star Wars builds in his later years. So some of the AT-AT and the walkers and things like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to jump right into building. So for our first build, what I want you to do is build a model that tells a story about who you are outside of work.
Oh, yeah. Deep. So it's kind of a interesting little, convoluted maybe, but I want it to represent I'm not all the way through with my life journey. I'm trying to increase and grow and get somewhere that's not exactly the easiest to go and do. I'm a big DIYer, and so I also like to be challenged, like growing teams and doing the technical work during the day. But outside of work, I still like to learn and grow and figure things out. So I've got a increasing difficulty path towards the goal. Hopefully I'm not close to the end yet. And then, I was thinking early on, I've traveled many paths, and me and my wife traveled different paths to get to kind of like where we are together. So kind of the converging paths at the start. So
I love that. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could just dig into that model for the next hour. But I just one follow-up question. Like you said, you do a lot of DIY. Like what's a DIY thing you're working on now, or maybe have recently completed?
Sure. So me and my wife, honestly, are very frugal people. We're very cheap people, and I like working with I like building things. My dad really helped foster that when I was young. He would bring home just odd and end things, broken stuff for me to tear into and try and repair. So I'm currently working on my own irrigation system. It's messed up. When I was younger, I had the ideal car that I wanted, and years ago I was able to buy it and fix it up because it needed fixing up. So I do mechanic work. We stuff around the house. Basically, with the advent of YouTube, anything's really on the table. So a lot of stuff around the house, a lot of home maintenance stuff, but the HVAC and refrigerator repair and just anything.
Nice. Oh, speaking of digging into things and pulling them apart, I want to dig into teamwork, right? That's why we're here to talk about kind of teams and leadership. And so for our next build, I want you to think of what is the best team experience you've ever been a part of, and build a model that shows why you think it was that way.
Well, that's a tough one, but okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, John, let's see your best team model.
All right. So, again, a little bit, maybe going to have to take some explanation, but I wanted to show there was a work project, one of my first projects when I was stepping into true leadership, and I had to really step up and tell the team, follow me in something, give me your support. If we fail, I'm going to take all the failure on myself, right? But if we win, we're going to all win as a team. And so I thought about trying to bridge a gap as a problem, right? And so I needed my team to support me so that I could walk out and make us a way so that we could all bridge that gap and cross it together. So I've got myself, I've got my team back here supporting me, got the little gap, and I'm going to walk out, and I feel confident that they're going to have my back, and I'm going to be able to put the piece there and bridge that gap, and then we can all make it across.
Oh. So that was the piece in your hand, was the
Yeah.
gap filler.
Yeah,
Okay,
the gap filler.
yes. Oh my gosh. That is fantastic. It's really interesting the framing you use of that. Having my team support me.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come to that type of leadership philosophy?
Well, again, like I point back to my raising. My dad was often talking about, being like treating people right, and when I got into the professional world, very early on, I had a couple of run-ins with people managers, supervisors, just whatever, team members that were not there for me, and it was very obvious. Were not there for me. When my wife delivered our son, it was a very tense moment. I'd actually scheduled some time off because it was like a scheduled birth. Didn't happen exactly to schedule, and I ended up needing to take an extra day off. And my supervisor at the time actually called me up at the hospital saying this was out of line and I needed to come to work. And just, obviously, he didn't have my back, my best interest, right? So a completely unsupportive manager. And so by the time I got to the point where I was putting together teams, I had worked for enough people that I knew what I didn't want to be like. I wanted to be the manager, the supervisor, the leader that I wished I'd had. And so when that started to take place kind of organically, like I said, there was this one big project, and my boss basically listened to my pitch on how we needed, like I was pitching how we're going to solve this technical problem, and he basically said, well, if you can make it happen, I'm going to support you. And I had to go to my team and say, look, here's the plan. I feel very confident in this plan, but I need everybody to pull together. And I know you might not feel safe or secure. You might not trust my plan, but like I said, if we fail, it's on me. Like I will take the hit. I'll be pushed out of the company. Nothing's going to fall on the team. This is my plan. Now, if we win, if we're successful, 100%, it's the team that did it. And so, I'll soak up all the failure and I'll push all the success and praise on the team. And that, because that's they're the ones that are actually going to do the work. And if we fail, it's a failure to plan usually. So, I had a group of really good people that pulled behind me, gave me that support, and we built something really fantastic. And these people to this day, this was almost 15 years ago. These people to this day we've kept in touch, and we've all spoken about that time in our lives when we had to trust each other, which was, I don't know, it's very rare for us to ask other people, really in life, to trust us or be trusted or trust somebody. So it was a very impactful moment in my life.
Yeah, there's a lot of vulnerability in doing that. Normally, my next question would be build your worst team scenario, but I think you may have already shared it with your supervisor. Just extremely challenging. So I'm going to shift my next question a little bit, and we're going to do one more build, and then we can just chat a little bit. I want you to think of what gets in the way of good teamwork from any angle, from leadership, from peers, whatever it might be, and build a model that tells a story of what you think gets most in the way of good teamwork.
Ah, okay. Okay.
All right, fantastic. John, let's see your what gets in the way of teamwork model.
Sure. So I built this, which is what I think gets in the way of teamwork so many times is somebody wanting to be a ruler or a king by themselves and build their own little kingdom instead of building with other people.
Interesting. Why? Can you Double click a little bit on that. Why do you think that happens as often as it does?
Well, I think one, oftentimes in life we're trying to make our way, and sometimes I think it's difficult to figure out when making it, like making our own way, actually means teaming up with others and executing together. I'm not a big sports player, but I do like the sports team analogy, which is, you can see it on game day, right? You've got a team, especially like pro teams, right? Everybody on that team, highly developed, highly specialized, highly competent, right? Best in the world. But you take away the rest of the players, doesn't matter your sport, football, soccer, baseball, hockey, right? One player on that team can't play the whole game. And I think a lot of time, but each player has to refine and build themselves to be part of that team. And I think oftentimes it's difficult to know how to play both roles. You are that individual team member, but you have to understand how you fit into your team. And honestly, again, I'm a big believer in the shared success, shared failure. We're going to win this game together, or we're going to lose this game together. And there's very few situations in the business world where, on the long run, if we're on the same team, where I can win and you can lose, right? If I'll stay in the engineering world, because I was going to say if I'm in sales, but let's say I'm in technology, right, and you're in the sales world, and we're trying to sell a software product. You could go out and sell to 1 million customers, a falsehood, vaporware, right? The classic technology vaporware. Like, sales could go sell vaporware, and then when those sales come in the door and they look at the tech, right? The tech is not there, or it's bad, or it's buggy. So if you want to sell the product that I'm trying to build, hopefully we're partners, and you understand who I am and what I've built or what we've built, and you're bringing in the customers that we can support. Likewise, I have to understand that if we're a business, my job's not to just go play with tech all day. My job has to be build a product that you can sell. If I'm over here playing and you're out trying to sell something, I'm just making your job harder if I'm not delivering that reliable product. So different roles, we can undermine each other, but I think the best solution is for us to literally partner up, and you be great at sales and I be great at building product, and we both win at the end of the day. You bring in the customers, I'll give them a good product, we'll make money, we'll have money and success together.
I love that. It's such, I think it's such a common challenge, the zero-sum game. For me to win, someone has to lose. Yet, going back to the sports analogy, it's like there's only one championship to win, and even if I get the most points and the team loses, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, thinking from your perspective, I mean, you've had a growing leadership journey over the years. How has your vision changed over the years, leading teams from various roles and over various transformations in the workplace? Things have changed dramatically over the past 5 years.
Oh yeah. Well, I gotta say, 20-something years ago, I started, I'm just a big tech geek guy. I didn't seek out the management leadership stuff. I started coding when I was really young, and just always wanted to be in the tech world. And when I out of college, a couple of first jobs, I was representing some type of tech purity. I was in the mindset that there was some notion of the technology group in this organization winning through the best coding practices or the best tech practices, and that's what was most important. And so as I've matured personally and in the business world, I've really tried to adjust my perspective to say, how do we win? Because there's really not that right technical purity test in the tech team, nor is it in the business team or the ops team, right? So I had to adjust my thinking, not just how do I change, but like how do we work together, and then really trying to make sure I work hard to know who I'm working with, and try and change myself day to day too, because like I'm not like that first journey Lego build, right? I'm not done. I'm not where I'm going to be in 10 years, so I've got to figure out how do I keep changing and maturing my own self to make sure we're winning together. And like you said, the things keep changing. The advent of all this AI technology, which FirmPilot, we're using it to great extent in the delivery of our services, but it's also causing a lot of friction in the hiring. Like I'm trying to hire developers, and so many of the developers I'm trying to interview now are, I don't know, they're using AI to answer questions during interviews. So we've just got to keep adjusting and learning and growing.
I like that. You mentioned earlier the idea of having that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes up often in leadership and in teams, both sides of it. Why do you think it's hard to build trust? And how do you build trust in the workplace?
So I don't think there's a secret answer here, but oftentimes I'll just be upfront with people that I think the way that we are going to work together is by building trust. So I don't hide it. I don't make that. I don't hide the fact that I want to build trust between you and I. When I came into FirmPilot, our COO and I, one of the first conversations we had, like when I was trying to decide, am I going to join this company or not? I just mentioned how important it is for me personally to be trusted and to have the trust of the other executives, because we're a startup. There's a lot of pressure, and we're going to have to make quick decisions, and we're not always going to make the best decision. And so I wanted to know how they thought. So I was just very, very blunt in the first conversations with, I need to know how I can be trusted, how I can build trust, and how that's going to work. So I was just straight up with everybody. Look, I want to build trust between us. We have to operate very quickly on a trusted way of working. And that just put it out on the table, right? And then we could talk about it. And we each were then able to say how I see other people, like how to build trust with me, or how I build trust with others. And I think just being direct about it's an easy way. And I think I haven't seen that a whole lot. I see people trying to take an end run around the subject of being trusted. When I think it's oftentimes just quicker to go, hey, you and I, we're going to have to move really fast together. I'm a new part of the team, so I'm going to try and build trust.
I really like that. I think it's one of those things that sounds so simple, yet no one's doing it, right? And to your point, there's this thing of I need to build trust. How do I go about covertly building trust with these people, instead of what you just said, right? Just come out and say, hey, I'm new. I want to build trust with you. Mm-hmm. And I going back to your earlier reflections of just having some vulnerability and saying exactly what you need and what you want at that point in time.
Yes, I think you also have to be ready to earn trust. Like there's a deep level of trust, but just telling people, look, we're going to have to work together. We've got to build trust as quick as possible. I think opens up a lot of doors. but then you really have to work diligently to maintain any trust you've built. If you and I think this is regardless, like any relationship, professional or personal, right? You can build a really strong relationship for years and years and blow it all up with one mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So it kind of been related to trust, and I would touch back onto the how much AI is shifting your your hiring and shifting things. What do you think AI will do to leadership and teams in the coming years? How do you see it playing a part? Are you using it now in a leadership aspect?
That's a very good question. Like, that really is. I'm often using it to read, revise, and stylize to different audiences. So if I write, and again, this goes back to knowing who you're working with. I have people in my organization who love deep documentation, even if it's on business activities and proposals and things like that, or risk analysis. There are some people on my team, they love all the details at hand, right? If I write a 10-page document, they're going to read all 10 pages. I have other people on the team, I just want the summary version, and a couple of them, it's just like, give me the bullet point TLDR. So I've become fairly proficient with writing the larger form, and I have been leveraging some AI to help me take what I've written and augment it for different people, because I know not everybody's going to want the same exact artifact. So I'll let it augment my writing like that. I do worry that, you know, the whole AI, we're going to lose the ability to write long form ourselves as humans. But they're definitely going to change things. I mean, it's changing the way people interact. These systems can digest and reflect on information a lot quicker than people can.
Amazing. No, time will tell. 6 months from now, I'm sure we'll have even more information.
It's moving at a very rapid pace. So, I'm just asking my team to stay current.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. All right, John, you have one more build in you?
Yeah, we can do another.
Yeah, let's do one last build. We'll make this a rapid build. So this will be our final build. For your last build, I want you to imagine you have a room of technical folks stepping into their first leadership position, and I want you to build a model that has some advice for them as they go on their journey.
All right, so I've got where we are, making sure we've got this little flag here, and that's where we want to, like, our mark, and we don't really know where we want to plant it, right? So we got to be always looking up and ready. And then this was supposed to be a bookshelf with different books, but whether it's a bookshelf or a toolbox, right, have lots of resources. And then again with the paths, like, keep your options open and be flexible, because I think far too many people, pick a solution before they really understand the problem. So this is a keep your tool set with you, understand where you want to go, and keep your options open and flexible.
I love it. That's fantastic. John, I've got to ask, what was it like building your thoughts and ideas out of Lego bricks?
More difficult than I thought. The way you have to build, right? You're constrained. So it's the constraint of Legos really makes you have to consider, how am I going to build this? How am I going to conceptualize it? And how am I going to explain this weird thing that I built?
Yes. Well, you did an amazing job, and the stories came through loud and clear. I'd love to share with our audience, where can we find more on John Fly on the interwebs?
Easiest one's just johnfly.com, and then on my LinkedIn. So I'm just John Fly on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a blast.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
All right. And thanks everyone for listening in. Join us next time on Herding Squirrels, where we uncover the nuts and bolts of teams. Thanks, everyone.